The emergency alarm echoed through the massive council chamber. Thex lifted his 4 compound eyes toward the main screen as the sound grew louder. Around him, representatives from 47 different worlds shifted in their seats. Some adjusted their breathing apparatus. Others whispered into translation devices. Thex's antennae twitched with worry. Emergency alarms meant trouble, and trouble in space usually meant death. A transmission appeared on the screen. The quality was poor, filled with static and strange crackling sounds. Thex had never seen such a primitive signal before. The Council used quantum communication systems that could send messages across the galaxy instantly. This looked like something from a museum. A face appeared through the static. It was unlike any species Thex had seen. 2 eyes positioned forward on a flat face, hair on top of the head, skin that looked soft and vulnerable. The being's face was covered in dirt and blood. Behind it, Thex could see fires burning and hear screaming. The being spoke. The translation device took a moment to process the language, then converted it to Galactic Standard. The voice was female, tired, and desperate. "This is New Sol Colony. We are under attack. The creatures came from underground 3 days ago. We have lost most of our people. If anyone can hear this, please help us. We are humans. We come in peace. Please, if there is anyone out there, we need help." The transmission ended abruptly. The chamber fell silent. Thex looked around at the other council members. Most looked confused. A few looked frightened. Fexus, the military commander from a warrior species, stood up from his seat. "I know this attack pattern," Vexus said, his voice deep and rough. "The Kresh swarm. They have destroyed 12 of our colony worlds in the past year. If they are attacking this human settlement, those people will be dead within hours." Nihilus, the scientist with the long lifespan, touched his console and brought up data on the screen. His aquatic breathing mask bubbled as he spoke. "I have analyzed their biological signatures from the transmission. This is very strange. These humans come from a Class 12 world." Shocked gasps filled the chamber. Thex felt his heart skip a beat. Class 12? That was impossible. The classification system measured how dangerous a planet was for life. Class 1 worlds were peaceful gardens with gentle weather and calm environments. The council species all came from Class 1 to Class 3 worlds. No intelligent species had ever evolved on anything higher than Class 8. "You must be mistaken," Thex said carefully. "No species can evolve intelligence on a Class 12 death world. The environment would be too hostile." Nihilus shook his head, his long tendrils moving through the water in his suit. "I have checked the data 3 times. Their gravity is 1.3 times our standard. Their oxygen content is 21%. Their planet has violent weather systems, massive temperature changes, and strong radiation from their sun. It is definitely Class 12. Another council member, Kira, from a peaceful species, stood up. Her voice was soft and calm. "Whether they come from a dangerous world or not, they are asking for help. They are dying. We must respond. Why should we help them?" Another representative argued. "We know nothing about these humans. If they evolved on such a dangerous world, they might be dangerous themselves. We could be bringing predators into our space," Vexus snorted. "If they are from a death world, they might be useful. The Kresh have beaten us in every battle. Maybe these humans can teach us something about fighting." The argument continued for hours. Some wanted to help. Others wanted to ignore the signal. A few suggested sending a small scout ship to observe from a distance. Thex listened to all sides, feeling the weight of the decision on his shoulders. Finally, Kira spoke again. "We call ourselves civilized. We say we are better than the Kresh because we value life. If we ignore this call for help, what does that make us? Are we only civilized when it is easy and safe?" Her words hung in the air. Thex looked around the chamber. Slowly, he saw heads nodding. Even those who had argued against helping looked uncomfortable now. "Very well," Thex announced. "We will send a relief fleet to New Sol. Not a large one, just enough to help evacuate the survivors. Vexus, prepare your ships. Nihilus, I want full analysis of everything we know about these humans. Kira, prepare first contact protocols. We leave in 6 hours." The council members dispersed to their tasks. Thex remained in his seat, staring at the dark screen where the human's face had been. Something about this felt wrong. Not the decision to help, that was right. But something else bothered him. Nihilus approached him, his suit making soft bubbling sounds. "Council leader, there is something else you should know. I analyzed their transmission method. It is electromagnetic radiation, very primitive. But hidden within the signal, I found something interesting. Military-grade encryption. very advanced. Someone deliberately removed the location of their homeworld from the message. Thex's antennae straightened with alarm. They hid their homeworld location? Why would a desperate colony do that? Because they are not as helpless as they seem, Nihilus said quietly. Or because they do not trust us yet. Or both. Before Thex could respond, another alert sounded. This time it was not an emergency. It was an incoming transmission, directed specifically at the Council. The origin point was listed as unknown. The message was short. Just one word, but that word changed everything. The translation came through in perfect galactic standard. No static, no errors. Someone knew their language. Someone had been listening. The single word appeared on every screen in the chamber. Coming. Thex felt a chill run through his body. The humans were not alone. They had a homeworld. They had support. And whoever sent that message knew about the Council, knew their language, and had been watching them. Vexus returned to the chamber, reading the message on his device. He looked at Thex with an expression that mixed respect and concern. They have been studying us, learning about us. While we thought we were alone in this region of space, they were watching. Should we cancel the relief mission? Kira asked, worry in her voice. Thex thought for a long moment. The right decision was not always the safe decision. No, we continue. Those colonists need help, regardless of who is coming to help them. And perhaps this is our chance to meet these humans properly. On equal terms. Equal terms? Vexus laughed without humor. Council leader, if they evolved on a Class 12 death world and managed to reach the stars, I doubt there is anything equal about this meeting. We are either about to make very powerful friends or very dangerous enemies. Nihilus pulled up more data on his console. I have been analyzing what little we know about their biology from the transmission. Their muscle density is extremely high. Their bone structure is reinforced. They have redundant organs. These are not the traits of a peaceful garden world species. These are the traits of something that had to fight to survive every single day. Thex looked at the word still displayed on the screen. Coming. Such a simple word, but it carried so much weight. It was not a request. It was not a question. It was a statement of fact. The humans were coming and nothing would stop them from reaching their people. Prepare the fleet, Thex ordered. And Vexus, tell your warriors to be ready for anything. We are about to learn if there are truly apex predators in this galaxy, and I suspect we are not going to like the answer. The Council relief fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel near New Sol. Thex stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the planet appear on the main screen. What he saw made his heart sink. The colony was burning. Smoke rose from dozens of locations across the main settlement. Ships floated dead in orbit, torn apart by weapons fire. The Kresh had done terrible damage here, but something was wrong. The Kresh ships were fleeing. Dozens of their vessels were accelerating away from the planet at maximum speed. Thex had never seen the Kresh retreat before. Scan for survivors, Thex ordered. His crew worked quickly, their instruments sweeping across the planet's surface. I am detecting life signs, one officer reported. 847 humans, concentrated in the main settlement. Council leader, this is strange. The settlement should be completely overrun by now. Vexus studied the tactical display, his warrior instincts alert. Show me Kresh casualties. The screen changed and everyone on the bridge went silent. The numbers could not be right. 200,000 Kresh dead, the officer said quietly. Most killed in the past 72 hours. The humans have been fighting back. Thex felt dizzy. 200,000? The Kresh were one of the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Their warriors were bred for combat. How could less than 1,000 human colonists kill so many? Council leader, another officer called out. I am detecting massive gravitational distortions. Something very large is about to exit faster than light travel. Multiple contacts, many of them. The word flashed through Thex's mind. Coming. They were here. Space tore open, not with the gentle shimmer of council ships, but with violent rips in reality itself. One by one, human warships emerged into normal space. They kept coming. 10 ships, 20, 50, 100. They arranged themselves in perfect formation, moving with precision that seemed impossible for so many vessels. 127 ships total, the sensor officer reported, his voice shaking. Council leader, the largest one masses more than our entire fleet combined. Thex stared at the massive vessel at the center of the formation. It was shaped like a blade, covered in armor plates that looked thick enough to stop anything. Weapons covered every surface. Heat signatures indicated power systems running far hotter than any council ship could survive. "They are hailing us," the communications officer said. "Put it on screen," Thex ordered, trying to keep his voice steady. A human face appeared. The being was old for his species, with gray hair and lines on his face, but his eyes were sharp and alert. He wore a dark uniform with symbols that probably indicated rank. Behind him, Thex could see other humans working at stations, moving with quick efficiency. "This is Admiral Doyen of the Earth Defense Fleet," the human said. His voice was calm and professional. "We thank the Galactic Council for responding to our colony's distress call. Your humanitarian gesture will not be forgotten. However, we will handle the crash situation ourselves. Please maintain your current position for your own safety." For a moment, Thex could not speak. The human had thanked them, but also given them an order. Polite words wrapped around steel authority. "Admiral Doyen," Thex said carefully. "I am Council Leader Thex. This sector falls under Council jurisdiction. We appreciate your concern for your colonists, but we must coordinate our response to the Kresh threat." Doyen's expression did not change, but Thex saw something flicker in those eyes. "With respect, Council Leader, New Sol is a human colony operating under Earth authority. We do not recognize your jurisdiction over our settlements. We mean you no harm, and hope this can be the beginning of peaceful relations. But make no mistake, we protect our own." Before Thex could respond, alarms blared across the bridge. The remaining Kresh fleet, the one that had been fleeing, suddenly changed course. They were attacking, not the Council ships, but the human fleet. "The Kresh are engaging the human fleet," Vexus reported. 3,000 Kresh vessels against 127 human ships. "This will be a massacre." Thex watched the tactical display, expecting to see the human fleet break formation or retreat. Instead, they did something that made no sense. They advanced. The battle happened so fast that Thex almost missed it. The human ships opened fire with weapons that moved at speeds close to light itself. Solid projectiles accelerated to impossible velocities. When they hit Kresh ships, those ships simply ceased to exist. No explosion, no wreckage, just gone. The Kresh swarmed forward, trying their usual tactic of overwhelming enemies with numbers. The human point defense systems activated. Thousands of smaller weapons tracked and destroyed every incoming projectile. The Kresh could not get through. Smaller human ships, what Doyen had called fighters, shot through the Kresh formation at speeds that should have crushed their pilots. They moved with impossible precision, destroying ship after ship. The Council's best pilots could not track their movements. How are they surviving those accelerations? One of Thex's officers gasped. "Those maneuvers would turn us into liquid." Nihilus, who had come to the bridge to observe, studied his scanner. "Their bone density is incredible. Their muscle structure is designed for this. They evolved in higher gravity. What kills us is merely uncomfortable for them." 7 minutes after it began, the battle ended. Every single Kresh ship was destroyed. Not damaged, not disabled, destroyed. The human fleet had not lost a single vessel. Most had not even been hit. The bridge of Thex's ship was completely silent. Everyone stared at the display, trying to process what they had just witnessed. The Kresh swarm, the greatest military threat the Council had faced in centuries, had been eliminated in 7 minutes. Admiral Doyen appeared on screen again. He looked calm, as if nothing unusual had happened. "Council Leader Thex, the immediate threat has been neutralized. We are deploying ground forces to secure our colony and provide medical assistance to survivors. You are welcome to send observers if you wish. Perhaps we should arrange a more formal meeting once the situation is stable." Thex found his voice, though it sounded weak even to his own ears. "Yes, Admiral. We would appreciate that. Thank you for handling the Kresh." Doyen nodded and the transmission ended. Thex turned to look at his crew. They all wore the same expression, fear mixed with awe. Vexus approached Thex, his warrior pride clearly shaken. "Council Leader, I have fought in hundreds of battles. I have studied warfare for my entire life. What we just saw should not be possible. Those humans moved like a single organism. Their weapons are beyond anything in our technology. Their pilots perform maneuvers that would kill us, and they did it all without even trying hard." "What are you saying?" Thex asked, though he already knew the answer. "I am saying that we are prey species, Council Leader. Every species in the Council evolved on safe, gentle worlds. We developed intelligence through cooperation and peace. But these humans, they evolved on a world that tried to kill them every day. They developed intelligence to survive. There is a difference between a species that learned to fight and a species that had to fight to exist. Nihilus bubbled agreement from his suit. I have been studying their biology from the scans. They have redundant organs. Their healing capacity is remarkable. Their immune systems are aggressive enough to attack their own bodies sometimes. They are built to survive damage that would kill us instantly. Kira, who had been silent until now, spoke softly. Then we must hope they choose to be our friends rather than our enemies. Because I do not think we could stop them if they wanted to take this galaxy. Thex looked at the planet below, where human ground forces were now landing. He thought about the colonists who had fought impossible odds for 3 days, killing 200,000 Kresh with farming equipment and mining tools. He thought about the massive fleet that had arrived with terrifying speed and eliminated an entire Kresh swarm in 7 minutes. Then he thought about Admiral Doyen's polite words and professional manner. The human could have simply taken control. Instead, he had thanked the Council and offered cooperation. Send a message to the Council homeworld, Thex ordered. Tell them we have made first contact with humanity. Tell them that everything we thought we knew about intelligent life was wrong. Tell them that we are no longer the apex predators of the galaxy. And tell them that we need to decide very quickly whether these humans will be our allies or whether we should simply stay out of their way. As his crew hurried to carry out his orders, Thex continued to watch the human fleet. They hung in space like sleeping predators, beautiful and terrible at the same time. The galaxy had just changed forever, and Thex was not sure if that was a good thing or a terrifying one. Perhaps it was both. Hajun sat in the cockpit of his fighter, waiting for the launch order. The small craft hummed around him, responding to his thoughts through the neural link. Outside, he could see the Council flagship through his canopy. It looked fragile compared to Earth ships, all smooth curves and decorative panels. The communication channel crackled. All fighters, this is Admiral Doyen. The Kresh are attacking. Rules of engagement are weapons free. Protect the Council ships. Show them what we can do, but stay professional. The galaxy is watching. Hajun smiled. Stay professional. That meant no showing off. He could do that, probably. Understood, Admiral. Flight Leader Hajun acknowledging. The launch bay opened and Hajun felt the familiar rush as his fighter shot into space. 12 other fighters formed up around him. They moved together like fish in a school, each pilot knowing exactly where the others would be. The Kresh fleet looked like a swarm of angry insects. Thousands of ships, all the same design, all moving in chaotic patterns. Hajun had fought them before. They relied on numbers, throwing so many ships at you that some would get through. It worked against most species. It did not work against humans. The human capital ships opened fire first. Railguns accelerated metal slugs to 30% of light speed. When they hit Kresh vessels, the ships just vaporized. The kinetic energy was too much for anything to survive. Hajun watched his display as hundreds of Kresh ships died in seconds. But more kept coming. That was their way. Lose 1,000 ships to kill one enemy. They had the numbers to make it work. Usually. All fighters, engage, Doyen ordered. Make it count. Hajun pushed his throttle forward. The fighter accelerated hard, pushing him back into his seat with 22 times the force of gravity. His flight suit squeezed his body, keeping blood flowing to his brain. His bones creaked but held. This was normal for human pilots. On the Council flagship, Vexus watched his display in disbelief. The human fighters were pulling maneuvers that his instruments could barely track. They moved at speeds that should turn their pilots into paste against their cockpit walls. This is impossible, one of Vexus's officers said. No organic being can survive those forces. Nihilus, who had insisted on observing the battle, checked his readings. Their heart rates are elevated, but not dangerously so. Their pilots are functioning normally under conditions that would kill us in seconds. This is what evolution on a high-gravity world creates. Hajun rolled his fighter, lined up 3 Kresh ships, and fired. His weapons were simpler than the big railguns, but still effective. Explosive rounds tore through the Kresh vessels. 3 more enemies gone. A Kresh fighter tried to get on his tail. Hajun reversed thrust, flipped his fighter end over end, and fired while flying backward. The Kresh ship exploded. Hajun corrected his course and continued forward. On the Council bridge, every officer stared at the tactical display. What the human pilot had just done should have torn his ship apart. The stress forces alone would have ripped through any council fighter. "How strong are their ships?" Thex asked quietly. "Scanning now," an officer replied. "Council leader, their fighter hulls are rated for atmospheric entry and exit. From gas giants. The pressure and heat involved would crush our best ships like paper." The battle continued. Human fighters carved through the Kresh swarm like blades through cloth. The human capital ships maintained perfect defensive formations, their point defense systems creating walls of fire that nothing could penetrate. The Kresh tried boarding tactics. Thousands of boarding pods launched toward the human fleet. The human point defense turned them into clouds of debris. Not a single pod reached its target. A few pods did launch toward the Council flagship. Before Thex could order evasive action, human fighters intercepted them. Hajun personally destroyed 5 pods in 3 seconds. "Council ship, you are clear," Hajun's voice came over the communication channel. "Stay behind our defensive line. We have this handled." Thex wanted to feel grateful. Instead, he felt like a child being protected by adults. His species had been spacefaring for thousands of years. They had fought wars, built empires, created great civilizations. Yet here they were, watching humans who had reached space only recently treating a major battle like a training exercise. On the planet's surface, Mirai led her marines through the colony ruins. The Kresh had dug tunnels everywhere, creating a maze underground. Council forces would have collapsed the tunnels and called it done. Humans did not work that way. "We clear every tunnel," Mirai ordered her team. "There might be colonists trapped down there. We leave no one behind." Her squad moved through the darkness, their armor sensors painting the tunnels in false color. They found Kresh warriors waiting in ambush. The battle was brief and brutal. Human weapons tore through Kresh armor. Kresh weapons bounced off human armor plating. One Kresh warrior managed to fire at point-blank range. The round hit Miri's chest plate and ricocheted away. She did not even slow down. She grabbed the warrior with one armored hand and threw it against the tunnel wall hard enough to crack its shell. A council medical team had landed to help with survivors. Their doctor, a small being named Talus, watched the human marines work. He had never seen anything like it. They moved through a toxic, hot environment without hesitation. They carried wounded colonists who outweighed them. They treated injuries that would have been immediately fatal to any council species as minor wounds. One human colonist had been fighting for 72 hours straight with a broken arm and 3 cracked ribs. She was still conscious and trying to help others. Talus could not understand how she was even alive. "Your species is remarkable," Talus said to the nearest marine. The marine shrugged, the gesture barely visible in her armor. "We are just doing our job. These are our people. We take care of our own." In orbit, the battle reached its conclusion. The last Kresh ships tried to flee, but human fighters pursued them. Not out of revenge, but to ensure they could not regroup and attack again. It was cold, calculated, efficient warfare. 7 minutes after it began, every Kresh vessel was destroyed. The human fleet had not lost a single ship. Hajun brought his fighter back to the launch bay, his adrenaline already dropping back to normal levels. For him, this had been a good morning workout. Admiral Doyen opened a channel to the Council flagship. "Council Leader Thex, the threat has been eliminated. We are securing the colony now. If you would like to come aboard our flagship, we can discuss the situation in person." Thex agreed, though he felt nervous about boarding a human ship. A shuttle carried him and his advisors across to the massive vessel called Indomitable. As they approached, Thex realized the ship was even larger than he had thought. It could carry the entire population of a small moon. The shuttle docked and the airlock opened. Heat and humidity hit Thex like a physical force. The temperature was 32 degrees, hot enough to be dangerous for his species. The air was thick with moisture. The gravity pulled at him, making every movement difficult. Human crew members walked past, completely comfortable in these conditions. Some were laughing and talking. One was drinking something hot from a cup. They were not even breathing hard in this heat. Admiral Doyen met them in a conference room. The room had been modified for council guests, with lower temperature and gravity. Doyen apologized for the ship's conditions. This is our normal environment, Doyen explained. Similar to Earth's climate. We forget that most species find it uncomfortable. Nihilus, who had fainted from the heat in the corridor and had to be carried, spoke weakly from his cooling tank. Admiral, your normal environment would kill most council species within hours. Your comfortable temperature is our heat emergency. Your standard gravity would crush our bones over time. Doyen looked genuinely concerned. I apologize. We did not realize the difference was so extreme. Dr. Jiwan has prepared information about human biology and our home world. Perhaps it will help you understand us better. A human woman entered carrying data tablets. She distributed them to the council representatives. My name is Dr. Jiwan. I specialize in biology and first contact situations. I know our meeting has been shocking for you. Let me try to explain. She brought up images of Earth. Thek stared at the planet. It was beautiful, covered in blue water and green land. But the data showed the truth. Violent storms that could level cities, earthquakes that could split continents, temperatures that ranged from cold enough to freeze water solid to hot enough to boil it. Predators everywhere. This is where we evolved, Jiwan said simply. We did not choose to be strong. We had to be strong to survive. Every adaptation you see in us was necessary. The muscle density to move in high gravity, the redundant organs in case one fails, the aggressive immune system to fight endless diseases, the ability to heal from terrible wounds, the mental capacity to solve problems when strength was not enough. Vexus spoke, his voice full of respect. You are apex predators. Jiwan shook her head. We are survivors. We were both predators and prey. We hunted, but we were also hunted. That is why we fight so hard. That is why we never give up. Because on Earth, giving up meant death. Thex looked at Admiral Doyen. The human sat calmly, not trying to intimidate or impress. He was just being himself. And that, Thex realized, was the most frightening thing of all. Humans did not need to try to be dangerous. They simply were. What do you want from us? Thex asked quietly. You could take what the council chambers were more crowded than Thex had ever seen them. Every species representative was present. No one wanted to miss this meeting. Word had spread quickly about the humans, about their impossible fleet, about the battle that lasted 7 minutes. Now they would learn the truth. Nihilus had spent 3 weeks studying everything he could about humanity and their home world. His presentation would reveal what kind of species they had encountered. Thex called the session to order. The chamber fell silent. Nihilus moved to the center platform, his water suit bubbling softly. He looked nervous, which was unusual. Nihilus had given thousands of presentations in his long life. Honored council members, Nihilus began, I must start with a warning. What I'm about to share will challenge everything you believe about life, about evolution, and about what it takes to become a spacefaring species. He activated the display. A planet appeared, blue and beautiful. This is Earth, the human homeworld. It looks peaceful from orbit. It is not. Earth is a Class 12 death world, the most dangerous planetary environment we have ever studied. Shocked murmurs filled the chamber. Class 12 was beyond anything they had imagined. The highest classification for any known inhabited world had been Class 8, and that species had died out before reaching space. Nihilus continued, his voice growing stronger. Let me explain what this means. Earth's surface gravity is 1.3 times our standard. This means every moment of every day humans are carrying more weight than we do. Their bones develop to be incredibly dense and strong. Their muscles are built for power. A human child can lift weights that would strain an adult of most council species. The display showed human skeletal structure. Gasps echoed through the chamber. The bones looked like they belonged to a creature designed for war, not a thinking being. Their atmosphere contains 21% oxygen, Nihilus said. This is enough to support massive fires. In fact, wildfires are common on Earth. Humans evolved in an environment where the air itself could burn. This high oxygen content also supports their incredible stamina. They can run for hours, days even. They simply do not stop. Vexus stood up, his warrior instincts fully engaged. Scholar Nihilus, are you saying humans are pursuit predators? Yes, Nihilus confirmed. Humans would chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. No other predator on their planet could match their endurance. They literally ran animals to death. The chamber erupted in frightened conversation. Thex had to call for order. When the noise died down, Nihilus continued with his presentation. Earth's weather is violent beyond anything we have experienced, Nihilus said, showing images of hurricanes and tornadoes. Storms with wind speeds over 300 kilometers per hour. Lightning strikes that carry billions of joules of energy. Humans built their civilizations while dealing with weather that would destroy our cities. More images appeared. Volcanoes erupting, earthquakes splitting the ground, tsunamis destroying coastlines, droughts and floods, ice storms and heat waves. Earth's environment was trying to kill everything on it constantly. The temperature ranges on Earth are extreme, Nihilus explained. From -60 degrees to +50 degrees at the surface. Most council species would die within minutes in either extreme. Humans adapted to survive in both. They live in deserts and in frozen wastelands. They thrive in jungles where the heat and humidity would incapacitate us in hours. Kira spoke up, her voice trembling slightly. How did they not go extinct? By adapting, Nihilus answered. By becoming tougher, smarter, more resilient than anything else on their planet. Let me show you their biology in detail. The display changed to show human internal anatomy. Nihilus pointed to different systems as he spoke. Humans have redundant organs. 2 lungs, 2 kidneys, a liver that can regenerate if damaged. They can survive losing multiple organs. Their blood clots rapidly, stopping bleeding that would kill us. Their immune system is so aggressive that it sometimes attacks their own body by mistake. Their brains process pain differently than ours. Nihilus continued. They can function through injuries that would cause us to pass out from shock. I examined colonists at New Sol who had been fighting for 3 days with broken bones and deep wounds. They were still conscious and active. And then there is adrenaline, Nihilus said quietly. When humans face danger, their bodies release a chemical that temporarily makes them even stronger and faster. It blocks pain, sharpens their senses, and gives them almost supernatural abilities for a short time. They call it a fight-or-flight response. It is a combat drug that their bodies produce naturally. The chamber was completely silent now. Every representative stared at the display, trying to process what they were learning. Thex stood up. Scholar Nihilus, if they are so dangerous, why did they not destroy themselves? Most predator species that develop intelligence become too aggressive and die out. Nihilus nodded. An excellent question. And here is where humans become truly interesting. They almost did destroy themselves. Multiple times. But they developed something that saved them. Culture, philosophy, ethics, compassion. New images appeared. Human art. Music, literature, architecture, cities that rivaled anything the council had built. Libraries filled with millions of books. Museums preserving their history. Humans knew they were dangerous, Nihilus explained. So they created rules, laws, moral systems. They consciously chose to be better than their nature. They have hundreds of words for war, but also hundreds of words for peace. They study violence so they can prevent it. They understand death so they can value life. Dr. Jiwan's voice came through the communication system. The council had invited her to participate remotely. If I may add something, council members. Humans developed a concept we call restraint. It means having power but choosing not to use it. Having the ability to hurt someone, but choosing to help them instead. This is central to human morality. We learned restraint because we had to, Jiwan continued. We knew that if we used our full capabilities against each other, everyone would die. So we built societies based on cooperation instead of domination. We created the idea of human rights, the concept that everyone deserves basic dignity and protection, even your enemies. Admiral Doyen's voice joined the conversation. We nearly destroyed ourselves with nuclear weapons. We poisoned our planet with pollution. We fought wars that killed millions. We made every mistake possible. But we learned. We survived because we chose to change. We chose peace over destruction. Vexus stood again. But you are still warriors. We saw that at New Sol. You destroyed the creche without mercy. Yes, Doyen agreed. We are still warriors. We still have all the capabilities that evolution gave us. But we choose when to use them. We do not fight because we want to. We fight to protect. The creche were killing civilians. Our civilians. We stopped them. Permanently. But we did not attack the council. We did not threaten you. We offered cooperation. Nihilus added more context. What Admiral Doyen is not saying is that this restraint costs them. Humans are psychologically damaged by peace. They evolve for conflict and struggle. In times of peace, they become depressed, anxious. They need challenges. They need purpose. Joining the council would give them something to protect, something to build. It would give them meaning beyond survival, Kira spoke softly. So they need us as much as we need them, just for different reasons. Perhaps, Thex said thoughtfully. He looked around the chamber at all the worried, frightened faces. We must make a decision. Do we accept humanity into the council? Do we try to isolate them? Or do we attempt to oppose them? One representative stood, a being from a traditionally cautious species. I vote to isolate them. We cannot trust such dangerous creatures. Today they are friendly. Tomorrow they might decide to conquer us. Vexus laughed harshly. Isolate them? They have been watching us for 50 years without us knowing. They know our languages, our politics, our technology. They built a fleet that can crush us while we had no idea they existed. You cannot isolate someone who is already inside your borders. Another representative stood. Then we must oppose them. Strike first before they become too strong. The chamber fell completely silent. Everyone stared at the speaker. Finally, Vexus spoke very quietly. That would be suicide. Did you not hear anything we have said? Humans evolved in hell. They nearly destroyed themselves multiple times and survived. They have 47 fleets like the one at New Sol. They have weapons we cannot defend against. They have soldiers who can fight in environments that would kill us. And you want to attack them? That is not bravery. That is stupidity. Kira stood, her voice calm but firm. There is a third option. We could accept them. Work with them. Learn from them. They are offering alliance. They could have taken anything they wanted. Instead, they asked. That shows more restraint and morality than most species show even to their friends. Thex looked at Nihilus. Scholar, you have studied them more than anyone. What is your recommendation? Nihilus was quiet for a long moment. Humans are dangerous, perhaps the most dangerous species that will ever exist. But they are also capable of great compassion, creativity, and sacrifice. They saved their colony at New Sol. They protected our ships during the battle. They have shown us respect despite their 6 weeks after humanity joined the council, Thex was beginning to understand what they had agreed to. The galaxy was changing faster than anyone had imagined. Human ships now patrolled council space. Human engineers worked alongside council scientists. Human soldiers trained council defense forces. Everything was different. Thex stood in the observation deck of a council station watching a joint training exercise. Human and council ships flew together, practicing defensive formations. The council ships struggled to keep up. Even at reduced speed, the humans moved with a grace and precision that seemed impossible. Kira joined him at the window. She had become humanity's strongest supporter on the council. Some called her naive. Others said she was too trusting. But Thex had noticed something. Whenever problems arose between humans and council species, Kira was there to help solve them. Her patience and kindness had prevented dozens of conflicts. They are good teachers, Kira said, watching the exercise. Patient. They know we cannot match their capabilities, so they teach us to use our strengths instead. Some council members are uncomfortable with how much influence they have gained, Thex admitted. In 6 weeks, humans have become essential to our defense. We are becoming dependent on them. Is that so different from being dependent on each other? Kira asked. The council has always been about cooperation. Humans are just another member species. A powerful one, yes, but still just members. Before Thex could respond, alarms began blaring. The tactical display lit up with red warnings. Thex felt his heart racing as he read the information. Crash fleet detected, an officer announced. Massive signatures. Council leader, this fleet is 5 times larger than the one at New Sol. They are heading directly for council core worlds. Thex felt cold terror wash over him. 5 times larger? That meant nearly 15,000 ships. The council's entire military could not stop such a force. Evacuation would take months. Billions would die. Get me Admiral Doyen, Thex ordered. Immediately! Doyen's face appeared on the screen within seconds. He looked calm, but Thex could see his jaw was tight. We have detected them, Council Leader. They are moving fast. We estimate 2 weeks until they reach your core worlds. Can you stop them? Thex asked, hating how desperate he sounded. Doyen was silent for a moment. Council Leader, we are already moving to intercept. Every human fleet in this sector is being recalled. We will meet them at Threshold Station. We will hold the line. How many ships do you have? Vexus asked, joining the conversation. 2,300, Doyen replied. It is not enough to match their numbers. But it is enough to stop them. Thex felt dizzy. 2,000 ships against 15,000. The mathematics were clear. Even with human advantages, these odds were impossible. Admiral, you do not have to do this. We can evacuate, move populations to safety. Doyen shook his head. Council leader, we gave you our word. Humanity protects. Those are not empty words. We will be at Threshold Station in 36 hours. Tell your people to hold on. Help is coming. The transmission ended. Thex looked at Kira and Vexus. They both wore expressions of shock and gratitude. Humanity was committing their entire military force to protect Council worlds. Worlds they had known about for only weeks. They are really going to fight for us, Kira whispered. Of course they are, Vexus said grimly. They said they would. Humans keep their promises, even when it means facing impossible odds. The next 36 hours were the longest of Thex's life. He watched as human fleets converged on Threshold Station from across the sector. Ship after ship appeared, forming up in defensive positions. The Council's own forces looked tiny next to the human armada. Thex traveled to Threshold Station himself. He needed to be there. If this was where the galaxy's fate would be decided, he would witness it. The station was chaos. Council civilians were being evacuated. Defense systems were being activated. Human Marines coordinated with Council security forces. In the middle of all this, Admiral Doyen stood in the command center, calm and focused. Council leader, Doyen greeted him. You should not be here. This station is about to become a battlefield. If humanity is willing to fight for us, I can at least witness it, Thex replied. Besides, someone needs to coordinate with Council forces. Doyen smiled slightly. Very well. But stay in the command center. It has the best shields. The Kresh fleet arrived exactly when predicted. They dropped out of faster-than-light travel in a massive swarm. Sensors showed nearly 50,000 ships, even more than initially estimated. The display looked like a wall of red hostile contacts. Captain Mireille stood at a tactical station, her armor already sealed. Admiral, they outnumber us 25-1. I can count, Captain, Doyen said calmly. All ships, defensive sphere formation. Protect Threshold Station. Point defense to maximum. Let them come to us. The human fleet formed a perfect sphere around the station. Every ship knew exactly where to be. The coordination was flawless. Thex had never seen anything like it. The Council's best formations took hours to organize. Humans did it in minutes. The Kresh attacked in waves. Thousands of ships charged forward, weapons firing. The human point defense activated. The space between the fleets lit up with weapons fire. Kresh projectiles vanished in explosions before reaching the human lines. Not a single shot got through. The human capital ships returned fire. Their railguns spoke with thunderous violence. Each shot traveled at speeds that bent physics. When they hit Kresh ships, those ships ceased to exist. Energy and matter converted instantly. The Kresh were dying by the hundreds, but more kept coming. The Kresh had numbers, and they were willing to spend every ship to break through. They surrounded the human sphere, attacking from all sides simultaneously. They are trying to overwhelm us, Mirai reported. We are destroying them at a rate of 300 ships per minute, but they keep coming. Hajun's fighter wing launched from the human carriers. Flight leader Hajun engaging. All wings, execute pattern Delta 7. The fighters tore through the Kresh formation like knives through paper. They moved so fast that the Kresh could not track them. Hajun personally destroyed 200 ships in the first 10 minutes. His wing accounted for 1,000 more. But the Kresh kept coming. Wave after wave crashed against the human defensive sphere. The battle went on for hours. 12 hours of continuous combat. The humans never wavered, never retreated. They held the line. Thex watched in awe and horror. The humans were fighting at a level he had not imagined possible. Their ships took hits that would have destroyed Council vessels and kept fighting. Their pilots flew missions that should have killed them from exhaustion. Their weapons never stopped firing. Vexus stood beside him, studying the battle with professional interest. They are not even using their full capabilities. They could break formation and attack, destroy the Kresh faster. But they are staying defensive to protect the station. They are sacrificing efficiency to keep us safe. 14 hours into the battle, the Kresh fleet began to falter. They had lost over 40,000 ships. The humans had lost none. Not destroyed, not crippled. A few were damaged, but still fighting. The mathematics finally broke the Kresh resolve. The survivors began to retreat. All ships pursue and eliminate, Doyen ordered. No survivors. They cannot be allowed to regroup and attack another world. The human fleet broke formation and pursued. What had been a defensive battle became a hunt. Within 2 more hours, every Kresh ship was destroyed. The threat was eliminated. Silence fell over the command center. The battle was over. Thex felt tears forming in his eyes. The council was saved. Billions of lives preserved. All because humans had kept their promise. Admiral Doyen turned to face the command center crew. He looked tired but satisfied. Someone get me a communication channel to the entire galaxy. It is time to make an announcement. When the channel was ready, Doyen spoke. His voice was broadcast across every council world, every ship, every station, to all civilized species of this galaxy. This is Admiral Doyen of the Earth Defense Fleet. Today, humanity stood with the Galactic Council against a threat that would have destroyed countless worlds. We did this not for glory or payment, but because we gave our word. He paused, letting his words sink in. From this day forward, let it be known. Any attack on Council worlds will be considered an attack on Earth. Any species that threatens the peace will face humanity's response. We are no longer strangers in the dark. We are allies. We are family. And we protect our family. Another pause. When Doyen spoke again, his voice was softer but no less firm. To those who would consider aggression against the Council, think carefully, because humanity remembers every promise we make, and we remember every threat against those we have sworn to protect. Choose peace. Choose cooperation. Choose life. Because the alternative is something you do not want to experience. The transmission ended. Thex stood in stunned silence. Doyen had just declared humanity as the protector of the entire galaxy. Not as conquerors or rulers, but as guardians. The implications were staggering. Kira burst into the command center, tears streaming down her face. She ran to Doyen and embraced him. The human looked surprised, but returned the gesture gently, careful of his strength. Thank you, Kira sobbed. Thank you for saving us, for keeping your promise, for being what we hoped you would be.